Oh,
Yeah.
wow, it works. We made it work. It's so exciting. I've got Connor here, he's my sound and video guy, and so he's actually a genius with all this stuff. So he's made it work, because if it was me on my own, it would not be working. But my whole purpose of kind of being is to try and help entrepreneurs, and I have started 17 companies of my own in the past. I'm not sure if you know my background. And I've been
Well, I didn't know it was 17. Wow.
yeah. Not all of them are successful, so it sounds like a good number, but and success is what is success anyway is a good question. But let's say
Exactly.
three made money. That seems to be a good benchmark for people around what is success. But yeah. So I'm now kind of retired. I recently had a baby. So I've got a 2.5-year-old now, and actually that's one of the ways I became aware of what you're doing. And anyway, long story short, I can see that you are adapting and moving very fast to bring your business to a place where it can service people's needs in this coronavirus world we're now living in. And so it must be a lot you're juggling and a lot that you're doing all at once, I can see. I guess I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk a little bit about advice you can give to other founders that are struggling right now, and try to help a little bit, because I can see what you're doing, and I think a lot of people could get inspired by it. So maybe first up, you could tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world and how coronavirus is affecting you and what you're doing to fight back.
Yeah. So it's been like an earthquake for us. Everything about my business has changed in the last week. So we are a marketplace. We recruit and match and manage nannies, and we have a sharing concept. So families will share a nanny, and in normal times, it's brilliant. Two families will share one nanny. The families get to pay less. The nanny gets paid more. We also do soul care as well, and in normal times when schools are running, our nannies pick up kids from school and they take them home and they look after them. And so everything has changed. So schools are shut. So, there is no after school care if there's no school. A lot of our nannies are going home. A lot of them are French or Italian or whatever. Everyone just wants to be with their families right now. The nannies that had long commutes on public transport are understandably not wanting to come. Some of the ones that have any underlying conditions, of course, shouldn't be coming. Some of our families are going into self-isolation. Some of them have symptoms. So all of that has been like an earthquake on our current business, like a lot to deal with. And then, of course, just like everyone, we're all working remotely as a team. We've got about 50 people in the team. So we're all adjusting to that. So I'm kind of trying to pivot the business like completely, including our operations, our guidance, our policy, our technical product, all the messaging, all the wording, everything, pivot it very, very quickly at the same time as the business, at the same time as we as a team have to learn to function completely differently as well. So it's literally nothing about my business is the same as what it was, a week ago.
I think I saw a tweet from you that said you looked at your to-do list 3 weeks ago and it's like a completely different world now.
I know. I think the tweet said something like 7 days or something ago. Right. I mean, I cannot believe when I think about, that was only Monday or that was only last week. My COO, I did a Zoom call with him this morning, and we've all learned that you can change your background on Zoom, so you can upload a photo, so you can, be on the beach or whatever. And
yes, I saw that feature.
He was sort of, he was mischievously uploaded a photo of our office that he'd taken, and it had people in it, and it looked like he was in the office with people. And I was like, oh, what are you doing?
Oh, that's so funny.
It was like the meanest practical joke. But yeah, it's a complete mind. It just.
I know the word you wanted to use there. I know the word you wanted to use there. And it is.
What else you can say?
It really is.
But it really is.
No, it's
a mind screw. I don't know what to say. But yeah. It's like one thing I just noticed today is my heart has been racing all day. And today's not the only day. It is today is very, very hard to deal with. And one of the things that I've noticed as well is, not just me, it's not just us. It's I spend a lot of time on Facebook groups because I'm as we're designing all these new services at pace, I need to, keep in touch with the pulse of how people are feeling and what people are thinking about childcare and what they want and all of that. And so I'm spending a lot of time on local Facebook groups and, kind of listening to local parents and speaking to them and stuff. And I'm just noticing everyone is so emotional.
Totally.
Understandably, but it's different emotions, but if people are angry, they're very angry. And if people are sad, they're very sad. And, people are very worried. It's like all the normal range of human emotion. It's like it's all been just turned up to 10.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. It's incredible. I have actually personally been through this before. I lived in Hong Kong in 2003 when the SARS virus hit that city. I had an agency back then called Fluid. It was the largest independent agency in the region. And when SARS hit, I guess, I don't know, you're probably here. Were you in the UK at that time, 2003?
I was in the UK, yeah. I
think people heard about it, but no one really understood what happened to us in Hong Kong. But this all happened.
No.
This all happened to us. This whole fear, the rush on food, the complete remodeling of every single element of a business that you're presently running to adapt to the new world where you can't shake hands and you can't have a meeting and all that sort of stuff. So, I've seen it all before. I think that it's fascinating. Well, fascinating might not be the right word. It's an incredibly huge social experiment in a way. And I think that, when people start to change their businesses, one thing I guess I want to say to you anyway is that, it will all go back to normal eventually. So, the second element is that you're not alone. I think one time I see with founders, and I felt like this when I was going through it in 2003, you're having to make sure your staff are okay. You're having to make sure your management team are okay. You're having to make sure your investors are okay. Of course, you're having to make sure your customers are okay. You are basically doing nothing but making sure everyone else is okay. But who's looking after you? And one of the things I just want to say is, because I want to get into some of the amazing things that you are doing to face this challenge. But one of the things I want to say to anybody listening to this is that, we can help you. What can we do to help you? You personally as a founder, there's a whole entrepreneurial community out there, and a lot of them do listen to this podcast. What can we do to help you? So if you want to throw anything out there, if there's anything we can do to support you other than just listen, which sometimes is half of it, isn't it? What can we do?
Well, thank you. It is obviously hard. You kind of feel silly complaining because
I know what
everyone else, everyone else is going through a lot as well. And, you see what the doctors and nurses are going through right now.
Totally, yeah.
And you kind of think, well, I'm safe at home right now. There's that great meme saying, our great grandparents were called to go to war. We're being called to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. We can do it. And kind of put things in perspective. But it is very hard. And I'm really lucky to have very, very supportive founder friends. And I get a lot of strength from my founder friends, a lot. And it is one of the other things I've been reflecting on is it's actually nicer that everyone's going through this right now because, I think there are, businesses go through roller coasters all the time. And one of the hardest things normally is that, everyone else seems like everyone else is crushing it and doing well.
Going on long holidays and having a good time.
Yeah. Exactly. Right now, I feel like everyone's being very honest. It is really hard. There are a small number of businesses that are going to do well out of this, but that is just luck. I think, it's kind of nice in some ways that if anything goes wrong with your business right now, it's not about you, it's just really freaking hard. But I think that the support that I'm asking my investors for, I just sent a long email to my investors saying here's, some of you have asked how you can help. Okay, here's how you can help. And it's mainly around getting the word out there about our new services, because, we are pivoting our business and releasing a ton of new stuff all at once. And we don't have time to do the whole huge normal, marketing campaigns with lead times and planning, and we just don't have time to do any of that. We just need to get them out there,
Yeah.
So that's the main thing.
Yeah. Well, on that note, if you do a tweet after this with exactly what you want me to retweet to the parents and community I'm connected to, I'll retweet it, and then we'll try and get this recording up as quickly as we can, and maybe people can do the same. I've also been saying that to anyone that wants to help. I mean, I know what you mean about frontline staff. It's what some people are going through right now in the hospitals and stuff. It's just incredible, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it's very hard for entrepreneurs right now. I see so many small businesses suffering, and these are all services that we've relied on for so long. I know your service is something that a lot of families have completely relied on to make their lives better. So in a way, I do feel like it's also important not to forget that second tier of frontline people who are now suffering. And so that's part of my mission, is to try and help people like you that are now pushing to survive. And and I understand what you mean. We're all in it, but still, it's not an easy time. I think, in particular, for founders or owners of small businesses, because you really don't have time to look after yourself because you've got so many other elements to look after, including cash flow. So
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's very true, and for those of us who have kids as well,
right.
They're also going through their own big change.
Yeah.
My daughter's not in school anymore. Luckily, because I have a nanny in the next room right now. The reason I can do this call is because and my husband's in one room working, and he works in private equity. He's got kind of a quite intense job. I'm working like insanely right now. The reason we can both do that is because we have an incredible nanny in the third room with my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old, and it's very relevant to what I'm doing, because I'm basically trying to figure out how I can give that to more parents.
Yeah. It's interesting. I just before talking to you, I interviewed a musician. Of course, they're suffering because all of their gigs are getting cancelled. And one element of that I think is relevant to what you're talking about, that I think is kind of across the line, is there are actually many ways people can still help. One thing I've been saying is that perhaps people out there can still pay for your service, because things are going to go back to normal. I know people can't believe it right now. I remember when I was going through the middle of SARS, and I thought it was all over. I couldn't see any way out. This virus will just keep spreading. We're all going to die, is kind of how I felt back in 2003. I know for a fact this time around it's not going to be that way, so I'm planning ahead. Now, I think what I'm trying to say here is it possible for all your existing customers that have enjoyed your service to continue to pay you absolutely and completely, even though they're not getting the service at the moment, so that 3 months from now, when they need you again, you're still here?
Yeah, we have encouraged parents to do that, and partly that's about us, but it's more so about their nannies. We'll be here. We'll be here in 3 months' time. We might be in a significantly worse cash situation, but we'll be here. The thing is, though, that our nannies, they're the ones that we're kind of trying to make sure that they're still okay. So we're encouraging our parents to keep paying for if they can, and a lot of them are doing that, which is great. Some of them just can't, because what's happening on the parent side is a lot of them are losing their jobs, particularly if they're anyone who's on like a contractor or works freelance. I think at the moment it's very, very tough for them. This is if they are the musicians type people, then it's very tough. But yes, certainly, if anyone can keep paying, that is amazing.
I think there's an element of this that is. I remember in the financial crisis, a similar catastrophe for my business, one of my businesses, where suddenly no one could pay anyone. The thing is, once one person stops paying, it has a domino effect. I think if every single company right now did the right thing and paid everybody, then everyone else would get paid and the system wouldn't crack. So there is an element of, I hear what you're saying around some parents have an issue, but it might also be a domino effect. If everyone just says, right, hold on, we've got to do the right thing. For the next 3 months, everyone gets paid as if nothing's changed. Then the system doesn't break. Otherwise, if everyone stops paying everyone,
that would be great. Yeah, I know. I completely agree. I think that would definitely work. Like that would work for us.
Yeah, I wonder. You've asked, but I also think people need to get out of jail free card. If there's don't pay if you don't want to. It's almost like you've got to pay to keep the system going.
All right. Let me revise my previous answer. If you want Koru Kids to still exist,
yes,
please pay.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, poor, you're going to have to go into debt to keep the business going, and like you said, definitely a worse cash flow situation. Yes, you will still be around because you're a fighter, like good entrepreneurs are, but that doesn't mean to say you'll be distracted by that stress instead of being able to build a better service for your customers. So to me it's all interlinked, and so if I was using your service today, I would 100% pay. In fact, I feel like offering to pay regardless. Because I feel like maybe that's another way to go, to do a crowdfunding, just kind of say to people, look, these services have made your lives better for years. It's one of those things that why not continue? Now, if everyone pulls back, and I know that's what's happening, I can see it. People are saying, well, I'm having to cut this because I've been cut. Well, if everyone doesn't get cut, where does it start and where does it stop?
No, I totally agree. And the other thing that that we are talking to a lot of people about at the moment is corporates taking covering this basically for their work for their employees during this period. So one of the new services that we've created in the last few days is a specific work from home service. And so the idea here is we're hearing from a lot of parents that looking after their kids and working is harder than they expected. A lot of parents, kind of thought, it's fine, I'll be home, I don't need childcare. And now the reality, now we're a few days in, and I think the reality will really, really kick in next week. But a few parents are a little bit further ahead and starting to realize that they actually cannot do their jobs. So what we've done is we've created a work from home service, and the idea is, and the parent is home. It's like my situation at the moment, actually. So I'm home, but I've got a nanny in the next room, and she's looking after kids, and it's actually really cool because you can go in there and hang out with them, and then kind of come back and have a break. We had family lunch. It's really nice. And what we've done as Koru Kids is we've taken a lot of resources and we've curated them, and we've come up with daily schedules and kind of weekly themes. And we've got this nanny community where people are kind of sharing things and helping each other. And so we're doing kind of centrally, we're helping the nannies navigate and plan their day and do all this sort of stuff. So we've put together a whole kind of work from home support package for the nannies. And then that's available for, any parent can sign up and just get that as an individual, get one of our nannies, and the nanny comes with the support package, or, and it doesn't need to be full time. It can be just mornings or, whatever. And then the other thing is we're also offering that to employers and saying, if you are a law firm or something and your lawyers are saying to you, yeah, I can work from home and look after my kids, well, maybe they can. I don't want to say no one can, but it's bloody hard.
It's hard. I've got a child. I can say, my 2.5-year-old, he basically, I'm doing a podcast from home today. I'm doing this with you right now. My son is in the other room, exactly what the situation you're talking about. If he comes out of that room and sees me here, he's going to want to sit and talk and do stuff, because kids are not used to having a separation. They're not used to oh no, I'm working now, don't hug me, I'm working now, don't try and give me kisses, they just don't get it,
Exactly.
And you don't want to tell them no at the time like this, because there's an atmosphere of stress. You don't want to push them away. You want the opposite. You want to involve them. So I think what you're doing is awesome. Can I just talk a little bit about the business model for a second? Because I've been watching you update your website hourly. I can see what you're doing. There's a couple of things I was wondering. For example, I think the big problem that people have is if a nanny comes to their home and is potentially infected, or has if you're isolated, right, it's very hard to interact. Is there any mechanism in which you can kind of almost say that they've been tested, they can come to your home, there's nothing to worry about? That's one thing. And the other thing I was interested in, I wonder if there's a service where you can broadcast your service out. So in other words, if I've got my son wants entertainment for an hour, I don't want him on the iPad. I don't want him on the technology, just watching mindless rubbish. But he could talk to a nanny and have engagement and play games with the nanny sitting at their home in France, and if they know that nanny already, even better. But there's some connection there where they can interact with the child on the iPad. Is there something like that you could build into what you're doing?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, this is how fast moving everything is. So someone suggested that to me about 2 days ago, and I kind of went, ha, 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 like it was a joke, like that would never work. And then, and kind of thought no more of it. And then I was speaking to a nanny who is doing literally that. and she's doing 3 hours. So the situation is the kids are 8 and 10, so I think it works better with older kids. And but she's doing a 3-hour shift. That both parents are working from home, but they've got very big jobs, and they have to concentrate and not get distracted. And so she's spending 3 hours video conferencing with the kids and just kind of working through their schoolwork with them. And she said it's working really, really well. So what we're doing is we're now actually going to pilot this. This is something we just started doing yesterday. We've contacted all of our families and nannies today to see whether they want to start trying this. And the way we'll do it, the way we'll develop the service is we'll basically see who's up for trying it, and then we'll ask them what worked and didn't work, and then we'll collate the learnings, and as quickly as possible, I reckon within a couple of days, we'll be able to get back to everyone and say, okay, so we've learned, this is what works, this is what doesn't work, go forth. And kind of help people, and that's with everyone who's currently, a current Koru Kids family and nanny. And then once we've learned that, then we can start to do it with new families and nannies once we really understand, when it works and doesn't work.
And on the kind of testing validation side, I think maybe that's going to have to come down the road. I feel like testing isn't really clear right now how to check if someone's got this. They don't even have symptoms sometimes, right? So
unfortunately, I mean there aren't even enough tests for for the NHS right now. So if tests were available, we shouldn't be using them ourselves anyway. What they do in other countries, like in China, everyone's taking their temperature constantly. I'm not requiring our nanny to do that. So so the situation I've got is personally is our nanny lives. She could take a bus or she could walk. In normal times she takes a bus. We have said to her, don't take the bus anymore. So she's now walking. So she can walk to work, and she lives with one other person who is home all the time. So that is essentially, she's essentially
it's like a background check on the the contact that these people have. That's a good idea.
There's no other contact. I mean, it's as if we have exactly 2 more people in our social circle, because we've got her and her flatmate, and that's it. There's no one else. And given that schools have just shut and that was like hundreds of contacts, I'm personally comfortable with the idea of just 2, and it's not like 2 different ones every day. It's the same 2 all the time, And so for me that's kind of good enough. Yeah. If we wanted to amp it up, I think we could take temperatures every day, but that would go for us as well. I mean, we should probably all be in that case. She could have the same question. You guys take temperature every day. Yeah. I must say I'm getting a bit paranoid, and I have taken my temperature a few times. Right. But that's more to do with my own paranoia than anything else.
No, I think we're all feeling it. I think it's one of those things. Well, look, it's fascinating to talk to you. I don't know, I always think founders have inspirational things to say in tough times. Is there anything you want to share about your experience right now? Any overriding message you want to throw out there?
I had a conversation with my coach a couple of weeks ago, not about any of this. It was in different times, and I was talking about stress and just the normal ups and downs, and he said, think of this as a game, like as if you've been assigned in a really interesting board game. You've been given these resources, and he said, what a great game, what a great game. And I keep thinking about that, and in this situation, when people are actually dying, it doesn't feel like a game. Like now, when I think about that, what a great game, I think, but it's actually real and people are actually dying. So it doesn't work so well. But in normal times, I find that very helpful. So what a great game.
Totally.
I'm not sure that is inspirational, because at this time, the stakes are very high right now.
I think it's inspirational. I know exactly what you mean. I think any entrepreneur will understand what you're talking about. To keep going and make it so that, the stress of it all is so intense. Like we were saying earlier about, you've got to look after your staff, you've got to look after your clients. There's so many elements that make it all, and cash flow. You've got, so much stress around it all. You've got to have some fun. So I think it's good advice, and I appreciate you sharing it, because I understand why it might sound sensitive, but I think people that will get it. I think it's actually good advice, and not that this virus is a game, but this is a whole new game to play, i.e., survive as a business, survive as a human being. If we looked at it as a game, it can make it a bit more fun. So I just wish people would stop doing the survival game of buying everything in the supermarkets, and that's the wrong game. Share food with people in the supermarkets would be more fun. But I think your point's valid, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Cool.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for your time. We'll keep you informed. I will retweet anything you do as far as service update is concerned to my followers. And thank you as an entrepreneur for protecting your staff. Thank you as an entrepreneur for trying to take care of your customers, the new ones and the old ones. And good luck with it all. And we're here. I'm here, certainly. And my community's here if you need anything.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.